Greetings, fellow Obsidizens of the vast Obsidian community. Welcome to another video in the Obsidian for Noobs video series, featuring tutorials, tips, and tools for new users of the Obsidian personal knowledge management software. In today's video, the third and final video of the Getting Started series, I'll be covering what is arguably Obsidian's single most powerful feature, links. Once again, staying true to the intent of this series, I'm going to strip away any intermediate or advanced aspects pertaining to links, and I will focus instead on the fundamentals. Nevertheless, you will learn enough about links here to be able to make very effective use of them in your Vault projects. For a more comprehensive discussion of links, take a look at my YouTube video entitled Creating and Using Links in Obsidian. Okay, with that said, let's jump into the topic of links. Arguably, Obsidian's greatest power lies in its utilization of links. In Obsidian, a link is a connection between two notes that allows you to jump from one note to another note. That is, to move the focus from one note to another note. You can also link to other files within your Vault, for example, PDFs, image files, and so forth. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to refer to notes throughout this discussion, but please realize that other files can be linked to as well. The node in which a link is placed is typically referred to as the source node, since this is the starting point of the link. The node or file to which the link connects is called the target node. There are two types of links used in Obsidian, internal links and external links. Internal links are, as the name implies, links to documents or files within your currently open Obsidian Vault. External links link to things outside of a Vault, most typically to websites. Here are some important points to know about links in Obsidian. Links connect to the title of the target node, although it is possible to link to sections of text within a node. Links appear underlined and as colored text in Obsidian. The default color is Obsidian's hallmark purple color, but that color can be changed in Obsidian's settings. When you click on a link in the source node, Obsidian will open the target node as the active node in the Vault's work area, replacing the source node. By default, Obsidian automatically updates internal links in your Vault when you rename a file. If you prefer to be prompted instead, you can change it under Settings by going to Settings, Files and Links, and then automatically update internal links. Finally, you can return to the source node from the target node by either clicking the back arrow in the upper left corner of the work area or clicking the backlink to the source node in the right side panel Backlinks tab. There are several ways to create links in Obsidian. The first and probably most common one is manually. To create a link manually in Obsidian, type two open brackets. Obsidian will immediately open a pop-up window listing all your project's notes and files. Select the note or file you want to link to, and then Obsidian will add two closing brackets to complete the link. Another way to create links is to right-click in a note and then select Add Link from the pop-up menu. Obsidian will then present you with a window listing all your project's notes and files, and once again select the note or file you want to link to. A third method for creating a link is to drag a note from the File panel file structure in the left side panel onto a note in the main area. Obsidian will immediately create a link to that note. Please be aware that if you drag any other type of file onto a note, such as a PDF, a canvas, an image, a video, etc., Obsidian will embed that file in the note rather than merely linking to it. Finally, you can create a link by invoking the command palette, pressing Ctrl and P on the keyboard, and then selecting Add Internal Link from the list of commands in the pop-up window. When you select Add Internal Link, Obsidian will insert the pairs of open and closing brackets and then open a listing of all your project's files. Select the file you want to link to, and Obsidian will complete the link. Let me now demonstrate each of these methods in an actual Vault. Okay, I'm in the Vault. Among the various notes in this Vault is this one, Common Symptoms of the Flu, and in another note I'm going to create links to this note by the four methods I've just described. So let me go back here, and I'll begin by doing the manual link. As I said, the way you begin a manual link is to type 2 left brackets. When you do that, Obsidian immediately puts the 2 right brackets in and opens a list of every single file in your vault, notes and other files as well. You select the file you want to link to from the list, and Obsidian completes the link. Now the file I want to link to is a note over here, Common Symptoms of the Flu. So I'll scroll through this list of all my files until I find the one I want, and then I'll click on it. And you can see Obsidian completes the link. And as I mentioned, all links in Obsidian by default are underlined and they're in the Obsidian purple color. If I put the mouse pointer over the link, you can see the Markdown. Right? These brackets creating the link are actually the Markdown notation for links, for internal links in Obsidian. If I click on that link, Obsidian will open the target note, in other words, the Common Symptoms of the Flu note, right here in the main work area. And it'll replace this note that I'm in now. Right? The note I'm in now is called Link Example. When I click on this link here, you can see that Common Symptoms of the Flu replaced my note. My source note was replaced by the target note when I clicked the link. And as we said, one of the ways to go back to the source note is simply to click on this left arrow in the upper left corner of the work area. And I'm back in that note. All right, the second way we talked about creating a link was to use the right-click menu. Right-click in the note, select Add Link. And Obsidian immediately inserts the pairs of double brackets and opens the list of all the files in your vault. Find the file you want to link to, select it, and Obsidian creates the link. The third method we had was to drag a note from the file manager in the left side panel. So I'm going to click and hold on the Common Symptoms of the Flu note in the file manager, and I'm going to drag it onto my note. And you can see Obsidian created a link to it. Now remember what I said. This only works for notes. If you drag any other kind of file type onto a note, Obsidian will embed that. So I have a JPEG image file here, a color chart, and if I drag that onto this note, Obsidian will not create a link to it. It will actually embed that image in the note, as you see here. Now I can change that embedded file to a link by deleting the exclamation symbol that precedes the brackets. Let me zoom in here. I don't know if you can see there's an exclamation symbol right in front of the left bracket here. If I delete that, I'll have a link. If I click, the target file, in this case an image file, takes the main position in the work area. And I go back by clicking the left arrow in the upper left corner. So again, dragging a file onto a note creates a link only when you drag a note onto a note. If you drag any other file type, you will embed that file in the note. Okay, and the fourth method we talked about for creating links was to invoke the command palette. Press Ctrl and P on the keyboard, and you want the command Add Internal Link. Click on that command, and Obsidian does what it's been doing. It sets up the brackets, opens the list of files in the vault, find your target file, select it, and you have the link. So manually, we can create a link by typing 2 open brackets. Obsidian presents us with a list of the files in our vault. Select the file you want to link to, and Obsidian will complete the link. Or you can use the note's right-click menu, right-click in the note, select Add Link. Obsidian does the same thing. You can drag a note from the file manager in the left side panel onto a note, and you will create a link to that note there. And finally, you can invoke the command palette by pressing Ctrl and P and select the command Add Internal Link. And then Obsidian will give you the list of files in your vault, and you'll select the file you want to link to. Those are the 4 ways to create a link in Obsidian. I should mention Obsidian has a very nice feature where if you hold the Control key down and hover the mouse pointer over a link, Obsidian opens the target note in a little window here. So if you want to check what's in that link file, but you don't really want to call it into play, in other words, you don't want it to replace the note you're in, you just want to take a look at it to reference something, hold the control key down on the keyboard, hover the mouse pointer over the link, and you'll see the note that it's linking to pop up, and you can check the information there and stay right where you are. Okay, by default, when Obsidian links to a note, it uses that note's title as the text for the link. But there might be situations in which you do not want the note's title to be the text that is displayed for the link. For example, if the note's title is long or cumbersome. Fortunately, Obsidian provides a means for the user to choose what text is displayed for a link to a note, regardless of the target note's actual title. This technique is called an aliased link. The procedure to create an aliased link is to place a vertical bar after the note's title, followed by the text you want displayed. No spaces between the vertical bar and the text on either side. The vertical bar is called a pipe symbol, and it's typically found above the backslash on most keyboards. Let's look at an actual example. Let's say that you want to link to a note, as we had in our vault, titled Common Symptoms of the Flu. If you create a straightforward link to this note, the text that will be displayed for this link will appear as Common Symptoms of the Flu. Again, as we just saw, I did that 4 times. In other words, the exact title of that note is the text that is displayed for the link. But this Common Symptoms of the Flu is a bit wordy, and you might want to make the link's display text appear more succinct, like simply flu symptoms. You can accomplish this by using an aliased link, as shown on screen. When you create the link to this note, you place a pipe symbol, that's the vertical bar, directly after the note's title, and then you type the text that you want displayed for the link. In this example, flu symptoms. You can put any text you want after the pipe symbol. The idea is that you are piping the actual note's title to the alternate text of your choice. So normally we'd create the link as the first part shows. I would type double brackets. Obsidian would give me a list of all the files in my vault. I select the file that I want to link to, and Obsidian puts the title of that file as the text for the link. So when the link is created, it would look like this. The exact title of that note, Common Symptoms of the Flu, is what it puts as the text for the link. If I want different text displayed, other than the note's title, we use the aliased link. In other words, we begin the link the normal way, 2 open brackets, and we select or put the title of the note we want to link to. But then, instead of completing the link, we put that vertical bar, that pipe symbol in, and after that we type whatever text we want displayed. Anything we want displayed for that link is what we put here, and then close the double brackets. This second link example down here will display like this. It will simply say flu symptoms. In other words, whatever I put after the pipe symbol. And naturally it's underlined and it's given the purple color. Let me demonstrate this in a vault now. Okay, back in the vault, let me get rid of the links we had. Let's start fresh. I'm going to link to that same note, Common Symptoms of the Flu. So I type 2 open brackets. I select the note. And as we know, and as I mentioned, Obsidian automatically puts the note's title in as the text for the link. So if I were to leave the link like this, that's the link I'd have. But if I go into that link, and right after the title of the note, I put in a pipe symbol, I can then put any text after that that I want displayed. So let's say I wanted to display flu symptoms. I type that in. Now when I leave the link, the text that I put after the pipe symbol is what's displayed, as opposed to the normal link. They both go to the same file, this note. It's just how the links appear in the source note that's different. So you can rephrase the text that's displayed for a link by using the aliased link technique, which involves inserting the pipe symbol right after the note's title in the link, and then follow the pipe symbol with whatever text you want to appear for that link. Thus far, I've been discussing internal links, that is, links that connect files within a single Obsidian Vault. But Obsidian also provides a means for linking to things outside of your vault. These links are called external links, and the most common external link scenario involves linking to a website. There are two ways to create an external link to a website. You can copy and paste the website's URL into a note, or you can create the link manually. Copy and pasting the URL is self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go into it here. Just do what I said, copy the website's URL, paste it into a note, and you have a link to that website. What I want to go over is the way to create a link to a website manually. The structure for an external link to a website is to place your link display text within single brackets. This is the text that you want displayed for the link, followed by the target website's URL in parentheses, as shown in the example. So in brackets, I have the word Google. That's what I want displayed for the link. In other words, here's the completed link down here. I want it to say Google. Again, I can put anything I want in here. This is similar to what's on the tail end of the alias link. In other words, what we were putting after the pipe symbol. Any text we want. Immediately after the closed brackets, you have an open parentheses, and then the exact URL of the website you want to link to, and then close parentheses. So the structure is within brackets, the text you want displayed for the link, immediately followed by the website's URL contained within parentheses. So this link up here will display as this. The word Google underlined in the purple color and this box symbol with the arrow in it. That's an indication in Obsidian that the link is an external link. Please note that you must include the https:// in the link. Otherwise, Obsidian will think you are creating a link to a note in your vault. All right, let's look at this in an actual vault. Okay, I'm back in the vault. I've got two external links here. This is the Google link I just showed you. If I go into it, let me zoom in a little bit more. I think you could see the open brackets. I put the word Google here, close brackets, immediately open parentheses, no space there, and then the exact URL of the website you want to link to. So if I click on this link, it opens my browser in Google. Now I could put anything I want as the text here. Right? That first part in brackets is whatever you want displayed for this link. Doesn't change the link. Still sends me to Google. Okay, just below I have another external link, this one to the Obsidian Help website, specifically to the page discussing external links. So you see the structure. I put Obsidian Help inside the brackets. I could have, again, put anything I wanted to, Obsidian Help, external links, whatever I want. And then in parentheses, the exact URL of the external links page of the Obsidian Help site. And when I click on that link, it brings me right there. External links in Obsidian Help. So that's how we create external links to websites in Obsidian. Within brackets, the text you want displayed, immediately followed by parentheses containing the URL of the site you want to link to. As was the case with the other topics covered in this series, there is a lot more to know about links in Obsidian. For example, you can create links to particular sections of text within a note. And there is an entire link topic called backlinks. That's very useful and important. For a deeper dive into the topic of links, check out my YouTube video entitled Creating and Using Links in Obsidian. Okay, before we conclude this series, allow me to demonstrate that we can actually create a functional and useful Obsidian Vault using only the information that I've presented in this series. Okay, I'm in a vault. It's titled the Cooking Vault. And what I've done is I've made some recipes for breakfast meals, lunch meals, and dinner meals, and a few other things. And I made a vault for this. And as I mentioned earlier, everything used to create this vault are things we've learned in this 3-part series. I haven't used anything more advanced or anything fancy. I've strictly limited myself to things I've covered in those 3 videos. So for example, here's one of the recipes. It's merely a list of ingredients and a list of instructions. I used a bullet list for the ingredients and a numbered list for the instructions. We saw how to do that in one of the videos, so there's nothing that wasn't covered there. Otherwise, this is just a note with text in it and a bullet list and a number list. All of the recipes follow that pattern. In the File Manager in the left side panel, I created a folder for appliance manuals, and I put a couple of appliance manuals there. These are PDF documents, and we saw how to put other files in vaults. I showed you how to put images in PDFs in a vault. I have a folder for the breakfast recipes, and there are 2 recipes there. They're on simple notes. A folder for the dinner recipes, again, 3 notes with recipes, and a folder for the lunch recipes and a couple in there. Let's skip that for a moment. I made a conversion chart for cups, ounces, and tablespoons, and milliliters, I believe. This is just a simple table. It has 4 columns and I believe 8 rows, and I just typed the text in there. Remember, in one of the videos, we discussed how to create a table. Use the Notes right-click menu, select Insert, Table. You get a 4x4 table. You can increase the number of columns by hovering on the right and clicking on the plus sign. So now I have a 4-column table, and if I hover beneath it, I can click on the plus sign and continually add rows. And I do that until I get the 8 rows. And then I can type in whatever it is that I want as the entry for a cell in the table. Now what I did here for the column headings, I made them bold, using the Markdown for bold, the double asterisks. So you can put Markdown within a table. And the actual entries for the conversions I left in a normal font. So again, all of this was covered in one of the videos, or more than one of the videos. How to create tables, how to use Markdown to make bold text, and just typing text in a note. Here's one of the appliance manuals. Like I said, it's just a PDF document. You can scroll through it. This is the other appliance manual. And again, we saw in one of the videos how you can just drag a file, whether it's an image file or a PDF, right into a vault and have it there for reference. So the File Manager, creating folders, putting notes in the folders, creating notes, creating bullet lists and numbered lists, and creating and using tables. Again, all of this was covered in those videos. Nothing special, nothing advanced here. Now, let's do something interesting. Let's go to this glazed salmon recipe and down to the directions, where it says preheat an air fryer to 400 degrees. Let's say I want to be able to reference this air fryer's appliance manual in case I forgot how to preheat it. I can make air fryer a link to the manual. So I'm going to delete air fryer, type 2 open brackets, and I'm going to look for the air fryer manual, which is Kusori air fryer. So I'm going to scroll through here. There it is. And I'm going to select that. Now I have a link to the manual here. When I read this, if I'm going to cook this recipe, and I say, well, I don't remember how to preheat it, I can just click, go to the air fryer appliance manual, look up what I need to look up, and when I'm finished, I click the left arrow in the upper left corner and go back to my recipe. Better yet, instead of linking to that manual, I can hold the Control key down on the keyboard and hover the mouse pointer over it, and then as I showed you a while ago, that manual will pop up in its own window. I can scroll through it and I can reference it right here. I don't even have to take the link if I don't want to. Now notice something. I mentioned that when you create a link in Obsidian, Obsidian puts the title of the target document as the text for the link. If it's a note, it's the title of the note. If it's any other kind of file, it puts the name of that file, including the file extension. So this really looks awkward. And I don't really want this to say preheat a Corsori air fryer manual.pdf. So what I can do is go into that link and create an alias link. I go right to the end of the file name. I insert a pipe symbol, and I put in air fryer, or whatever I want. And when I get out of there, now the link simply says air fryer. That's what it said in the beginning. Preheat an air fryer to 400 degrees. But I created this link so that it links to my manual for the air fryer that I have. And again, rather than linking to it, if I want to, I can hold the control key down, hover the mouse pointer over, and consult the appliance manual right here. So that's the beauty of alias links. There's one other thing I wanted to show you in this vault, and that's the concept of a user dashboard. A dashboard is really like a table of contents for your vault. It's a single location that a user of the vault can consult to see in a broad overview the various documents in your vault and to have quick access to them. Rather than having to go into the navigation panel and the left side panel and search for something, you can organize links to the documents in your vault in some logical structure in the dashboard so that a person can quickly get to them. So for this recipes vault, the logical structure would be recipes by meal type. So what I've done is I've created tables here, and I have a column headed breakfast recipes, another one lunch recipes, and dinner recipes, and then dessert recipes, snack ideas, and so forth. And I've got links to the various documents that fall under those categories. If someone's looking for a lunch recipe, they can consult the dashboard, look right down the lunch recipe column, and go to the particular recipe that they want. I also did a column for appliance manuals and one for the conversion chart. Again, to create this dashboard, I only used techniques and skills that were taught in the 3-video beginner series that we just concluded. Nothing else, nothing fancier than that here. Just a table, a simple table here. I put links in the table. The links are exactly as you know them with the double brackets. And that's basically it. Now, there are very fancy dashboards. Lots of videos on YouTube about creating really attractive dashboards. But again, with the skills learned in this 3-part series, you can at least create a very basic but fully functional and usable dashboard for your vaults. So there it is, a perfectly useful cooking vault. Nothing fancy, but fully usable and worthwhile. And that brings video number 3 to a close. In this 3-video series, I've covered what I believe are the most fundamental concepts that a new Obsidian user needs to learn in order to be able to start using Obsidian confidently and productively. Well, once you've achieved an adequate comfort level with these concepts, what next? Where should you go from here? Once you've mastered the basics, you have a foundation to build upon and enough knowledge to dig deeper into these topics. Naturally, you can go in any direction you'd like, depending upon your interests and or your needs. What I would suggest, dive deeper into links, including backlinks. Dive deeper into tables. Tables are very, very useful. Explore Obsidian settings. Go through them. Be careful, but look and see what they do. If you're not sure, go on YouTube or on Google and do a search. Look up that setting before you play with it if you think it might cause problems. There are a lot of things you can set in Obsidian settings to make your life easier and more comfortable. Look into a topic called templates. Tags are a very useful feature of Obsidian. Callouts are really interesting features in Obsidian, as are canvases. Eventually get to bases. That's the Obsidian's built-in database. Plugins and templates. I don't use plugins and templates myself, so I really can't speak about them with any personal experience, but they're very, very popular among Obsidian users, and they really extend the usability and they enhance the attractiveness of your vaults. So that's definitely something to look into. And then CSS, cascading style sheets, a really sophisticated and nice way to style the elements of your vault the way you would like. You can add color and other things to your vault and really make it look very, very attractive and also very, very useful. As far as resources, definitely YouTube videos. I still use them to this day. Whenever I'm stuck on something or trying to learn something new, if I can't figure it out myself, I go do a YouTube search. I'm not always successful, but more often than not I am. There are a lot of people putting up YouTube videos about Obsidian, a lot of channels devoted exclusively to Obsidian. My personal favorite is Nicole Vanderherven. She makes wonderful videos. She's very clear. She's extremely knowledgeable. She's definitely my #1 favorite. I'll put a link to her YouTube channel with the other links in the description for the video. In addition to YouTube videos, naturally the Obsidian Help website, that's a fantastic resource. Also, artificial intelligence large language models. Many of them know quite a bit about Obsidian. So don't hesitate to go to an AI LLM and type in a specific question about Obsidian, about some feature of Obsidian. Don't necessarily take it at face value. I have gotten some inaccurate information from artificial intelligence when I've asked questions about Obsidian. But I would say the majority of the time, probably 85% or more of the time, I get very accurate and helpful information from artificial intelligence when it comes to Obsidian. And finally, forgive me for the crass commercialism, but my book, Obsidian for Noobs. I wrote this book for new users of Obsidian after what I went through trying to learn it. I basically created the book that I wish I had when I was beginning to learn Obsidian. And if you'll bear with me, I'll demonstrate a little bit about the book now. Okay, this is my website. We're on the home page now. If you go to the book and click on that, you'll have a summary of my book here, just to give you an idea what it's like. And if you scroll down a bit, you can see chapter 1 of the book in its entirety here. You can also view and or download chapter 1, the table of contents, and the How Do I quick reference. That's an appendix in the back of the book. So if I click on chapter 1, it opens as a PDF document, and you can view it or download it. Same with the table of contents. Just to give you a quick view, the first chapter is somewhat similar to this video series, although not exactly the same. I break Obsidian down into 3 basic components, and I go through them as a bare bones foundation to build upon, and then go into the Obsidian user interface in more detail than I did in this series, obviously. How to navigate around that interface. Graph view, which is a more advanced concept I didn't cover in this series. Links, including backlinks. Something called user-created dashboards. A great deal about notes. A whole chapter about working with notes. A whole section on tables. Call-outs is something I mentioned as a more advanced topic to look into once you feel comfortable to move on. Here's the right-click menu, but I go into everything in the right-click menu here. We just looked at the most fundamental things in that menu. I cover every aspect of that. Templates, which was one of the topics I advised going further with. Editing view and reading view, we did cover. Canvases, an interesting topic and a very useful thing. How you can customize Obsidian and how you get help. Appendix 1 is the How Do I quick reference, which I'll show you that now. This I'm really proud of, and believe it or not, I use this myself to this day. So what I did was I basically listed all the things that I think an Obsidian user might want to know about at some point or other. And I titled it, How do I create a new vault? How do I use tabs? How do I use bookmarks? And I referenced the section number and the page number in the book. So if you want to know how to do something, or you knew how to do it and you forgot the details, go right to the appendix and look it up here, right? How do I work with links? Let's say you forgot how to format the links. You find it here, you go to page 32 and 42, and you'll see me go over it in great detail. So this is a really, really useful table to bring you to virtually any basic topic about Obsidian. So that's my page for the book on my website. It's available at Amazon. If you click on the book, it'll bring you to Amazon. If you click on this thing, there's several places here. You can click and go to Amazon if you'd like to buy the book. So there you have it. We've reached the end of my 3-part series entitled Getting Started with Obsidian, a Guide for Absolute Beginners. As you can see, there are only a few simple things you need to know in order to begin using Obsidian productively and comfortably. With just a basic understanding of Obsidian's user interface, notes, Markdown, and links, you will be able to create fully functional and useful Obsidian vaults. Yes, we've intentionally only scratched the surface here, but as you work with Obsidian and gain confidence, you can slowly build upon this foundation and learn new features and techniques. In fact, I can all but guarantee that you will be compelled to learn more and more about Obsidian, because you will quickly discover what I discovered, namely, that Obsidian is as much fun as it is useful. Okay, fellow Obsidizens, that's all I have for now. I'll see you in the next video. Happy note-taking.